Hey folks, welcome back. If you're joining us again, if you're new, just welcome, period. How about that? I'm here with Magic Emily Middleton, who is coming on and off screen and waving to you. My name is Kurt. We'll be here for the next hour, or so. We're here to answer any questions you might have about LifterLMS, sometimes WordPress in general. And you know what? Sometimes we get crazy. Someone says, I'll ask you anything. And what did they ask us? Something about Marvel movies or something? Marvel superheroes came up?
Yeah, a lot of weird things have come up. What was it last time? It was about Terminator. That's what it was.
Oh, the Terminator. Yeah, that was, I don't know. Folks, you can try us out. See, you can try us out and see where things go. Here's how it works. We've got, if you're new to us, let's just talk about how this works. This is the webinar format in StreamYard. It is casting out to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, X. I mean, this is going out to a lot of different places. So all you need to do is put your question or comment into the chat or the comment area of whatever platform you're on, and we should see that come in. And that gives us the ability to be able to respond to you and combine the feedback from all these different channels into one place. So Wolf says, you also talked about old farts. Yeah, we did talk about being old. And Gary Alderson is with us from Winnipeg. So it's good to see you guys here. Now, before I get too far and too distracted, I do want to put in the 55% off coupon code for people that attend or come to this call. Now, this gets overwritten a little bit with the excitement about Black Friday, but I still want to follow my process and put this in here. LifterLMS.com/AMA-gift. Part of the reason I'm sharing this is because if you watch this, you can get a 55% off coupon at LifterLMS.com/AMA-gift. If it is during the month of November and you are still watching this, meaning like it's not 2025 and you're looking at a replay, if it's still Black Friday season, you actually get 60% off. And that is during the month of November with the Black Friday sale. And that is by going to LifterLMS.com/ I think it's just Black Friday 24. Right, Emily?
Yeah.
Black Friday 24.
That's the code.
So that would be the way to go there. A couple of things. We've got Lucas. Lucas is joining us. Good morning from Maryland. Lucas, good to have you. Really good to have you. I've got a sister in Maryland. She's like at the southern tip of Maryland. Just spoke to her yesterday. Really great conversation. And not for nothing, I'm in Hutchinson, Kansas. I was dealing with a little bit of wind and cloudiness yesterday. And when she video called me, she was in a little piece of heaven. It was like, I don't know, 57, 59 degrees, sunshine, no wind, sitting on her back porch, just living her best life. And I was huddled in the kitchen with a hot cup of coffee because I thought the wind was going to rip the flag right off my flagpole. All right. So that all said, we do have some questions that have come in before the call. So I'm going to go ahead and put one of those in to get us kind of started on this whole thing on how this works. This one is, I think, from someone named Matt. So let me get this into the comments here. ATT. And boom. And then Emily, if you can take the question and I'll go in and grab a couple others off the spreadsheet and get them into the comments and stage them, that'll work out really good, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. So is there a way to do blended content such as live content and video content? So a live session for one course and self-paced for other materials. That's absolutely possible. So let me share my screen and show a little bit about how that would be done. So if I go here, so taking a look at the LifterLMS course builder, when we're in a lesson, we can do it a few different ways. Let's just clear some of my tabs. We can embed content in here such as video. So if you have a recorded session, you can do Vimeo embeds, you could do HTML embeds. If you have iframes, I use bunny.net for video hosting, so I use the iframe embed. But you can also do video blocks and stuff like that. If you're on Vimeo, YouTube, or Wistia, you can do the video embed settings. Right here, the video embed URL allows you to use advanced videos. If you want to pick up that add-on from LifterLMS, that's an available option there. So if you're doing pre-recorded content, that's how you would embed in LifterLMS. But for live streams, there's a few different ways to do it. The simplest way that I've seen to do it is either to use a plugin that allows you to host content in the back end of your WordPress website, like a live stream where people can come to a page on your website and join a live stream. There are hosting platforms that work with WordPress where you can do that, or something like a Zoom. So if you have a Zoom meeting link and it's a members only Zoom link, or it's on a scheduled date, then you can actually put that as like a lesson title if we're doing it in a course format. So instead of what is LifterLMS as like a static lesson that has a video on it, we could say live session November 18th. And so then people would click on the live session November, and then they could have a button. That would be the Zoom link. And then details. So then we time, place. So if I do time, place, and requirements, and then look at my lesson, we'll see I still have my featured video, but let's do that. Reload. So this would just be like, oh, I have a Zoom session on this time, on this date. Here's a link for the Zoom, and here's the date and time. I have a cat climbing up my chair. But yeah, so we can do it this way. This is going to be the simplest way to do it. Or we could also embed content if I have a plugin that supports. Now I have to move him. If we have a plugin that supports live streams, I know, Kurt, you've used the Zoom integration for WordPress, so you can actually embed Zooms directly in your WordPress website with your own branding and your own colors and everything instead of Zoom's colors and branding. But there's also other live streaming components that can be added to WordPress. So you can mix and match these things. You could put them in lessons. You could put them on members-only pages. You could use block visibility to restrict them so that only people who are enrolled in certain content can access certain pages. A lot of different ways to cut it up and do it. My recommendation is to do them all in lesson formats and just give access to different content or mix and match it even in the same course. What do you think about that, Kurt?
I'm in. I use Zoom in a lot of creative ways in these WordPress environments, and I've gotten really adept at using the Zoom integration. I think Adil, the guy that created that integration, really put some great features into that integration. Connecting it is a pain in the rear end. It really is. It's an hour and a half, 2 hour task, even if you know what you're doing. And you got to make sure you dot every I and cross every T for that to work properly. But once it's set up and it works, oh my goodness. I was looking in the other spreadsheet and putting questions in the comments so we had content to talk about, Emily. But one of the things I thought I heard was using a member only, access to the Zoom meeting. And remember, if you take the Zoom meeting and you put it into the course and lesson format, you're using the website's membership restriction tool to restrict people coming into that meeting, which is that's a really good add-on for me. It just makes things more secure for people that are worried about the wrong types getting into their Zoom. For instance, this is in StreamYard now. We used to do this in Zoom a year and a half, 2 years ago, and people's behavior made that impossible to continue. So here we are in StreamYard. Everything's got its own reason or its own place. And the other tools I use, it just goes on and on. If you have webinar privileges in StreamYard, you can embed that into a WordPress page, right? Through shortcode or through embed code. I think it's an embed code. I use a tool called Whereby. There's another tool called Jitsi that could be a hosted example or a self-hosted example. There's just a ton of ways to run live stuff in your site. And I think a lot of folks in the WordPress space make the assumption it's either going to be a pain in the butt, too expensive, or they just can't do it. And that's not the case. You don't need to buy into a special SaaS platform or a special live video hosting platform to be able to do these events, you can absolutely run it through your own hosted WordPress example. So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that one. Now, we did have someone in real time ask a question, so I want to take the real time questions before the pre-sent questions, just to kind of value people that came live. And Lucas asks, looking for best practices on transitioning an existing website, learningtableau.com, and 2 Udemy courses to LifterLMS. First off, congratulations to Lucas, because you figured out how to advertise in our comments. The other thing is, there really isn't a plug and play migration from Udemy to LifterLMS. Udemy is a SaaS platform, and not for nothing, I put a product on Udemy to test it out myself to see what the user journey was like. Oh my goodness, I don't blame you trying to get to your own place. But I think what you're going to look at is you'll more than likely just be copying and pasting your content in, your text content. You'll copy and paste that into the lesson format in Lifter within the course builder or in the lesson editor itself. And, if you've done it by video or by other things, you'll just transfer that stuff over manually. Hopefully it's not too big of a project for you to consider moving like that. And then, of course, if it's video based, with Udemy, you loaded your videos directly to Udemy. And then, of course, waited your 48 hours to get approved or whatever that process was. That was crazy. But when you go into Lifter, you're going to want to look at where you're going to host those videos if it's a video course. And so, you can look at things like bunny.net. If you want to use our advanced video features, then you'll be wanting to look at Vimeo or Wistia, unless it's stuff that you're not worried about, being exposed to the public. Then, of course, you could always embed stuff in from YouTube as well. I hope that was a decent answer. I'm not sure what the decent answer is on that one, because I'm not sure what you've built in your Udemy courses. But, like I said, there's really no migration tool from Udemy to LifterLMS. So you would just be bringing the content over and making that happen. The next question that we have in the platform was from our friend Gary, and Gary's on the call now. So he's live, and he preempted us with a question. It says he sent it to me already. Might be in my email. I don't know. I very rarely get into my email accounts. We are really busy with DMs and stuff. But Earth Bundle versus just PayPal pricing. We have PayPal only right now. Is it worthwhile upgrading? And then his notes covered by Black Friday, right? So anything that you want to add to your menu with the Black Friday sale would be covered, Gary. And if you go to the pricing page on LifterLMS and you start to look at like what comes in what bundle, I think the biggest difference that we see with going to a bundle is, access to support and things like that. But I think if we were going to be blunt, I think you've already kind of, unlynched the secret sauce to getting a hold of us and getting support and making headway. So I don't know how important that is to you. If you're happy with the PayPal only, as opposed to an Earth bundle, I certainly don't. Do you see any reason to say there's a value in an upgrade for Gary? You're muted or something.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking about the pricing. Is it 150? I haven't looked in a hot second. It's I think it's 150 for the Earth bundle and 150 for the PayPal. But I don't know. Let me look at that. LifterLMS.com.
Yeah, the Earth bundle's on sale now for $119.60. But it's $149.50 normally.
Yeah, let me see.
I mean, no, it's $299 normally. I'm reading the screen wrong. It's normally $300.
I see. Okay, I see. So with the Earth bundle,
you get the support, and that's really the main difference.
Yeah. So I think we usually it renews at 300. That's what the thing is. So your first year is 150 normally, and then it renews at 300. Whereas with I would just get the PayPal individually at that point, because it'll be recurring. It'll be cheaper every year.
Yeah. Now, there is the thought of, do you want your customers to have choices? Like, do you want to offer Stripe and PayPal? Do you want people to have the ability to use Stripe or use, PayPal financing? And if you have recurring billing on your website, is your recurring billing working with PayPal? Because that's another thing that comes up. If you don't have reference transactions or things like that, sometimes you can have some recurring payment issues. So you may find some value in having the Stripe connectivity, but if it's not an obstacle for you, I mean, I hate to say you don't need to upgrade, but keep in mind, and I think this is good for people that are seeing this either as a replay or live, the management, the ownership, however you want to phrase things, at LifterLMS is not beating on Emily and me to make sales. That's not the way the company runs. The company's based on what's your use case and how do we add value to you the best way possible. And so, like, this is a great question from Gary, because now you've got both me and Emily going, well, I don't know. I don't think you really need to upgrade. Like, you've already you've already unpinned the secret sauce to getting answers through our systems. We have a lot of free support. We have the Ask Me Anything call that we're doing now. We've got our Facebook page that people can get into. We've got help at lifterlms.com, where people sometimes get lost and think that they need like real support is they're trying to do something custom, or they're trying to, hey, I need some CSS code for this, that, and the other thing. We're not in that market. We're not actively trying to help people manipulate or change the code. They can. It's WordPress. If you want to modify the code, you absolutely can. But that's like not part of what we offer from a free support standpoint. So yeah, Gary, in your case, I don't think you really need to upgrade. And for people that aren't Gary, that's really consistent with our sales message. We really only want you to buy what you need.
Totally.
All right. And yeah, Notes is covered by Black Friday. And are the prices only good for 1 year? Yeah, typically your discount's going to be for the first year, and then all of your renewals are going to be at that retail price. So if you are budgeting a new project and you don't have any revenue generated yet, that these are good things to put on a calendar. Like, how soon, like how long do I have to do a proof of concept? How long do I have before I need to generate revenue to break even? And when's my deadline before renewals and having resources available? So those are good things. And I'm going to be even more blunt. LifterLMS is not in the practice of locking down your website or your tools if your payment doesn't go through at the end of a year. You would lose access to updates, plug-in updates and things like that. But we don't lock down your website. It's not like your students are on your website and all of a sudden the website goes blank white. We don't do any weird stuff like that. So you wouldn't get the updates any longer. And you would have time to get your act together or figure out something while your site was still active. So that wouldn't be a problem either if you expired. I feel like I answered part of the question that wasn't asked.
No, it's good to provide more information. Yeah, that's how LifterLMS coupons usually work. We run all the systems through WooCommerce, and all the discounts are 1 year only, first year. So that is best way to do it is individual add-ons if you don't want to get that recurring higher payment if you don't need it.
I don't know the answer to this one, so I'm hoping you can shed some light on it, Emily.
Yeah.
I have a question about removing data. According to the LifterLMS documentation, if I want to clear all LifterLMS data when removing the plugin, I must add a constant definition to the WP config blah, blah, blah file. However, what should I do if I use a host that doesn't allow changes to WP config?
So would it be enough to drop your tables in the PHPMyAdmin? No, like you can drop all the tables and that's good. It also, I would recommend getting a host that allows you to edit the WP config file. But so removing the tables works, but then also there's a bunch of user data. If you happen to have used LifterLMS custom fields, for example, and collected a bunch of custom user metadata, that would be in the users table. So there are sometimes like default WordPress tables that Lifter would add data to. I haven't really messed with it too much because I don't remove LifterLMS regularly. I do database sweeps, but in the ones I have done, there is some data in at least the users table. Like I think if you were to like use block visibility on a blog post and say that this block is only visible to members, that data would be stored in the post. So you can't necessarily go back and remove block visibility in the React code, like the way that it's all stored in the database very effectively. So I would recommend dropping all the LifterLMS tables, and then just there's probably in the documentation a way to find everything that's like LLMS or something like that as like a prefix, and see if there's a way to drop those. But I would recommend just editing the WP config file if possible, but sounds like that's not an option.
Yeah. I like your first part of that answer. I would just get a host. I would just get a host that allowed me to do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
That's always an interesting one. We've got one from a user named Sin that came through, and I do see the live comments coming in beneath where we're working now, so don't worry. We will get to you. We've still got about 40 minutes left, so don't freak out. We're getting there. Sin says, as we launched, and I think this is important because this will apply to a lot of people. As we launched, I have a few questions. We have WooCommerce and also Lifter payment. Wondering how to get coupons recognized as currently still not recognized. Also, our orders in Lifter say staging. We are in WordPress, want to ensure we'll capture orders okay. I'll add more questions as they come up today. So far, it's been fabulous. Okay, here's the deal, Sin. You can use Lifter, or you can use WooCommerce and the WooCommerce integration. When people say I'm using both, that can cause a little bit of stuff. So you could have Lifter all set up and Lifter access plan set up and the Lifter native payment gateways working, and then you say, hey, we want to sell coffee cups, tapestries, and tote bags. And then maybe you start a store in your website, and that's going through WooCommerce. If that were the case, they would be separate transactions, right? Like somebody would go through the access plan in a course, they would make the purchase, and it would close out with the LifterLMS payment gateway. And then if they bought a coffee mug, that would be a separate transaction. But typically what people want is they want people to be able to buy the coffee mug and the course at the same time in one transaction, in which case you would use the LifterLMS integration with WooCommerce, right? And then WooCommerce becomes your cash register. So if you're creating coupons in the LifterLMS payment gateway, right, with coupons and orders, if you're in the LifterLMS coupons area making coupons, but you have WooCommerce and the WooCommerce integration activated, yeah, they're not recognizing those coupons because you're not using LifterLMS as the cash register. You're using WooCommerce as the cash register. So you'd want to build that coupon through WooCommerce. Hopefully I'm making sense. Coupons in WooCommerce is in the marketing submenu. So you would click on marketing, coupons, build your coupon in WooCommerce, and then your WooCommerce product is what's going to activate the access plan in LifterLMS, and all of the transactions happen through WooCommerce, but the automation through the integration gives them access to that access plan. So I think that's kind of what you're describing in your question. Now, as far as orders and Lifter saying staging, when you set up a Lifter site, it's going to assume that you're in staging or in development until you activate it. Until you activate a payment gateway or something like that. But if you are in WooCommerce and you're not using the LifterLMS payment gateway, then everything should connect through the integration and work as developed. Now there's I'm going to screw it up if I try and say it out of memory, Emily. When you set it up, you want the orders to go to completed because they're digital, right? Is that how that works? Digital and downloadable in the WooCommerce product.
It's kind of variable because you could have the orders go to completed, but you could also have them go to processing. It's just whatever you set in the LifterLMS settings, you want the products you create in WooCommerce to match it. For example, there's two, I don't know if I can pull it up fast enough. Maybe I can. Is there a WooCommerce I can look at? There's two settings. One says virtual and one says downloadable. If you check both of those, I do have WooCommerce. I can show this. It's probably worth it to show it.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the comment down because it's a tall one, and that way people can see the screen.
Yeah, totally. Let's see. So if I pull my screen back up here. So if we have a product in WooCommerce, we have two options, virtual and downloadable, when we're here. So the challenge with downloadable products is it says if you hover, give someone access to a file, which is not exactly what we're doing here. We're giving them access to a course, but the interesting thing about if you set it to virtual, what it's going to do is it's going to set the orders to processing automatically. And then if you set downloadable, it'll set it to completed. So with these two boxes checked, you'll have completed, and with this, you'll have processing. And then whatever way that you want to configure it, it's okay either way, whatever way you want to do it. But whatever way you do it, you need to make sure that in the WooCommerce settings here, if I check to enable the integration, we need to make sure that order enrollment status aligns with how we did it. If we checked both boxes, we're going to select completed, but if we select only the virtual box, we're going to select processing, and then it'll work either way. So that's how you do it, where it's a little confusing. I can kind of, if you want to see that in action, I can show it too, but that's how to think about it. Both boxes are completed, one box is processing. Whatever way you do it, you need the settings to align with how you did it.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Hopefully they do too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's when I try to say it verbally out of memory, I tend to screw it up myself. So I usually ask for confirmation. We've got another long question here. This one's from Jay. This one, I'm not going to give a full answer to on this call because I think we're going to be a little restricted on time. But it says, I'm building a membership site with LifterLMS, paid memberships pro on the Buddy Boss platform and theme. So I want to offer both free and paid membership levels, and I want to offer courses both free and paid and a la carte. So that's not tied to a particular membership level. I also want to sell courses and merchandise with WooCommerce. This sounds like a heck of a project, and it sounds like you need really good hosting for all these dynamic platforms in one website. But I also want the user experience, especially the registration and checkout experiences, to be as user-friendly as possible. It says, I want to protect new members who sign up. And I'll just finish. It says, for a free membership from a checkout page that asks for unnecessary information, such as physical address, how to best accomplish this. Well, there's a lot going on in your question here, Jay, and I'm not sure if you're live or watching this on the replay as we answer this, but a couple of things to understand, and we're going to go through this pretty quickly. Everything in LifterLMS that's a product, that would be a course or a membership, can have up to 6 different access plans. And you can sell courses a la carte all you want. You can give away access for free all you want, or you can combine things together in memberships. So let's say you have 10 courses and you want to give someone access to 5 courses with one transaction. You would say, here's a membership with these 5 courses. Buy this membership and you get auto-enrolled into these 5 courses. So all of that can happen. Like, these aren't problems. So when you're saying paid versus free, memberships versus courses, remember that everything in LifterLMS that's a course or a membership is considered a product, and each of those products can have up to 6 different access plans. So you've got a lot of different possibilities to combine these different things together. Now, you have injected a little bit of complication with paid memberships pro and Buddy Boss and themes and things like that. But at the end of the day, you're going to use a WooCommerce integration to connect any product in LifterLMS to a product that matches it in WooCommerce. Basically, WooCommerce is going to be your cash register. And it seems like when it comes to memberships, you're actually going to activate a paid memberships pro membership, which in turn will have to activate either the membership course bundle or the course a la carte that you have offered. So you've got a little bit of a daisy chain of things happening, but it's all very doable, and there shouldn't really be too much complication other than what you're having people do with Buddy Boss and paid memberships pro and things like that. There's going to be more that comes up on the Buddy Boss stuff or the social stuff with Lifter, because I've seen some questions coming up. in that space. So let's jump down to Retha. I hope it's Retha. Retha says, for email sequence and newsletter, do I need additional plugins, etc.? Or I think that means is LifterLMS sufficient? I want it as simple as possible, but effective. That's our second question, was simple in it. In fact, in Jay's question, he was saying he didn't want to collect a bunch of unnecessary information for free access. Remember, a user in WordPress really just needs a username and a password. So if you wanted to use, if you wanted to use custom fields and modify the registration forms to either get additional information or reduce information, you can absolutely make it as simple as you want. Now for Retha, what are you going to recommend there, Emily? Email sequences and newsletters. I want to see which one pops to the top of your list.
Simple and effective, either MailChimp or ConvertKit. I think even if you do something like Fluent CRM could be like the simplest one to set up within WordPress, but then you have to manage an SMTP, a CRM that is also a plugin. Like Fluent CRM or Groundhog are plugins that go into the backend of your website and run a CRM out of the backend of your website. And so if you are technical enough, you know what an SMTP solution is. You know how to change which email server your WordPress site is sending emails from. But if you want a super, super simple option, I'm using MailChimp right now for like audiences under 1,000 people. And I also clean my email list all the time. But so I can get away on some free plans, or I use like ActiveCampaign, but that one's a little more complicated. I just learned it. So if you're looking for a non-technical solution, I would go with MailChimp or ConvertKit. Because dealing with SMTPs out of the back end of WordPress can be a little bit annoying. What do you think about that, Kurt? Has it been a big challenge with SMTP or not too much?
It's not a challenge until it is a challenge. How's that sound? Right?
I mean, but then it's like,
yeah, because here we are, I'm on the agency side of things. So I get clients that go, oh no, I just want to keep it simple. I just want this, I just want that. Well, it works. Why are you trying to get me to do something if it already works? And I go, okay, it works. Have a nice day. Like, I'm not going to argue, but then 3 months later, hey, no one's getting the messages. No one's getting the password, reset emails. No one's getting it's like, well, yeah, you didn't set up an external cron job. You didn't set up an SMTP, and you don't have an email server attached to this website, and you're trying to grow a dynamic LMS email platform with membership ability. It's like, this isn't a blog. Like, people get confused because they see WordPress and they go, oh, it's a blog. Or, as WordPress famously says, they're there to democratize publishing. Okay, that's great. But when you start adding these extra levels of dynamic nature to these sites, and you want to interact with high volumes of messaging, you want to make sure you kind of superpower the website to be able to do it. And so the tools that we mentioned here are at this stage, it's not a luxury. It's a part of best practices. Best practices, an external cron job. You're going to see a thing called the schedule manager in your website, and you'll see something that failed in the schedule manager or something like that. That's a sign that your cron job needs to be set up externally. And you can do that for free. You go to cronjob.org, set up an external cron job, connect that to your website, and then use a really well-known SMTP. I use Fluent SMTP for a lot of things. People have other choices. And then pick some kind of an email server to keep things working on the regular. Now, that all said, if someone connects to MailChimp, it's been so long since I've done a MailChimp integration. MailChimp is the email server.
Yeah. So with a MailChimp or ConvertKit, you just sign up for their service. Yeah. You have a free plan up to like 1,000 contacts or something like that with simple templates. And that's all you need. It's not complicated. They're the mail server. You just sign up for their service, design their emails there, and send them out. That's all you have to do. So that's why I like those.
Yeah, in my projects, we're working more with internal CRM. So we'll use Fluent CRM, Fluent Form, or I have some folks on Groundhog. But those are typically what I use where I need that external mail server like SendGrid or Elastic Email or something like that. But yeah, if you're using one of these other, kind of SaaS platform integrations like ConvertKit or MailChimp, then that mail server responsibility falls on that SaaS platform.
Yeah. So I know how to do all this stuff with SMTP, backend, WordPress, cron jobs, and all this stuff.
That's because you're a genius.
Thank you. I'm here to talk. I'm here to talk about how much I know about. No, but like even with all that information, I still go with Mailchimp or ConvertKit for my own projects, because when one of those things goes wrong, it's just a pain to be like. For me, it's like it's Tuesday night. I had a bunch of things going, or it's the weekend and I got to troubleshoot why emails aren't working. I'm just simple-minded, so I still want the easy solution. Even if, but even though it's not going to be as priced as well, you're going to be paying more premium to these companies for this ease of use. Whereas you can, if you're building a super scalable thing with 10,000 contacts and more, doing a backend WordPress solution was going to save you some bucks for sure. So at scale, do it the advanced way. But if you're getting started and want simplicity, do it the easy way.
Easy peasy. At the end of the day, our goal is to drive revenue through these projects. And if you get past the proof of concept and begin to generate revenue, a lot of the things like simplicity versus premium, it just gets absorbed into the business side where you don't have to panic about it. When you're just starting out, it's really hard. Like when I first thought I'm going to go from being a hobbyist to an agency, I had to look at like thousands of dollars and plugins and subscriptions and lifetime deals and all of these things so that I can offer my customers, the tools and the access that I have to stuff. And that was a big ask. That was a big ask at the time. But once you get through the proof of concept and you start to see revenue come from your efforts, you realize it's a percentage as the cost of doing business rather than this huge capital investment that you're trying to figure out if you're ever going to recoup. So I'm here to tell you there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Don't freak out when you hear us talk about, adding this plugin or adding this tool. In the end, if you execute and do things well, it's all going to be covered anyway. That takes us to Alicia. Alicia apparently is past the startup phase. She has people asking for features. So it says, we've been on the platform for a year, and our students, I'm starting to be able to interpret the way people type. I'm starting to understand all the misspelled words. We've been on the platform for a year, and our students are asking for cohorts and groups, I guess, to be blending, so students in the cohort can chat via the academy inside a group. Is that possible? I'm not sure what the academy inside a group is, but we do have a tool called social learning, and it sounds like if you had cohorts and groups working in your website, the next step would be social learning. Social learning creates kind of like a forum or a discussion area that aligns with each course that a student has access to. Groups in LifterLMS is more of an administrative feature for a group leader to see if people are registered in a course and what their progress is in a course. It's more of an administrative membership tool to manage a group of users that have access to a course or a membership. But it's not a social place where members of that group come and interact like a Facebook page. Like that's not the function of groups in LifterLMS. Groups is more of that administrative thing where a group leader organizes a group of people to see the reporting and their progress and their grades and things like that. So I think if we think of groups as the enrollment process, but then we think like what access or community access do members of that group have in the website after their enrollment, I think we would go down either looking at some other integrations with third-party platforms like BuddyBoss or something like that, or taking a look at the premium add-on with Lifter, which is the social learning avenue. I'm a big fan of social learning if you're just getting started in community, because it plays well, obviously, with our ecosystem. But it's a great way to get started with community without having to do a deep dive into something like BuddyBoss, which is a huge platform. What are your thoughts on that? Did I totally misread the question and go the wrong way?
No, I think that's a really good way to look at it. I wish that Groups 2.0 or 1.1.0, the e-commerce one, had the ability to create a cloned course to go with it. Some people want that social aspect like that, and social learning automatically creates those timelines, but you'd still have to create like a cohort, add that to the group, and then that's the only way they could have a private internal academy social feature. So that's why I like Buddy Boss for, like what you said, private academy social, because then you can have enrolling in a Buddy Boss group not just conditional on what course you enrolled into, but conditional on what link you clicked on to enroll into the course. So I think Buddy Boss might be a better solution here.
Yeah, and then Lucas came back to us, and he's got a few comments in here, but I want to focus on one that kind of leads more to a question. He confirmed that it was a video course. He said that his main concern is the website, but it's WordPress, and he recognized he'd have to upload videos. But if we take a look at this one, I was kind of confused and hoping that we could bring some light to this. It says, I was really more interested in migrating the WordPress website. My plan is to create a staging version of my WordPress website, switch it to a Lifter-friendly theme, and then put in LifterLMS, then start building courses while still keeping my existing site structure, which has a decent backlink profile on some of the links. Lucas, I'm reading a lot of baked in complication in this question, and I don't know. And please don't become offended, right? We see questions and we try to give straightforward answers. That's all. So please don't be offended if I say it's overcomplicated what you wrote. I operate under the thought of maybe you create a staging site and it's an exact duplicate of the website that you already like. LifterLMS is compliant with most themes. Like when you say a Lifter-friendly theme, it's compliant with most themes. And at most, you might have a problem with sidebars, but we've got solutions to get around sidebars with different themes. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. What I would consider is a staging site of the exact website without changing themes, without going crazy, without worrying about your backlinks and things like that. Throw in the Lifter, start building your course. If you look at your staging site and there is no damage, no change, nothing's happened to your main site, I would say you could start building on the live site. You just wouldn't make the courses part of your active navigation menu and things like that. You can build Lifter in the background of your website and no one's going to see it. No one's going to jump into it by mistake or anything like that until you link it to navigation or put a payment gateway or an access plan in that gives people access to it. That might be crazy advice, but that's kind of the way I'm reading that.
Yeah, I like that advice. Yeah, totally. You might want to have a staging website to try out your add-ons. So in case anything breaks, you'll know what it is. But building live, I like that.
I'm scared less and less of building live. Like I said, if I'm going to add a big plugin, like LifterLMS is a large plugin. So if I was going to add that and I had access to staging, I might do it in staging first and just review the site and make sure things are copacetic. And if they are, man, have at it. Throw that thing in the back of your website. Make changes if you need to for the sidebars to work, and start building. And you're building privately in the background, and you can see right in your environment what's happening. And what's nice about that is, remember, when you have a dynamic website and you're working in staging, it is not staying in sync the whole time it's in staging with user activity, membership signups, transactions and things like that. So if your existing website is a membership website or is doing e-commerce and then you're working in staging, there's always that gap in user activity that happens. And that's why I say, try it in staging. If it works, just go build in the live website in the background and everything stays the same. If you end up building on two different websites, your data is going to have a gap unless you do some kind of database backup and migration and integrate, whatever. That gets confusing and complicated sometimes. So I just want to try and keep things simple. Our friend of the show actually has a question. You're muted again.
Sorry, I sneezed. Adam has a question.
Yeah. Well, congrats to Adam, because he's got his outline for his course done. And he says he's just wondering if he should build it on the live site or do it on a staging site. I love the timing of these. So, Adam, the same thing goes for you, man. And we know that you're super, super capable, right? So try it on the staging site, and then don't spend a whole bunch of time trying to redo it. Try it on staging, and then, hey, if this is working and your staging site looks like a normal website and nothing's been screwed up, jump it over to the live site and just build in the background. And when you're ready to launch that thing, throw that thing in your navigation menu and have at it. And for those that want to learn how to run far, Adam's your person for that. That's what his thing is about. Alicia had some I'm going to say like inspirational words for Lucas. I love to see people chatting in the chat. It's nice to see people actually using that. And then here we go. We've got another question from Retha. It says, what additional plugins do I need with a new website using your theme? I've seen this question at least a half a dozen times this week. And here's the answer, Retha. You need whatever plugins fit your use case. Everybody hates that answer, but you need whatever plugins fit your use case. So if you're using our theme and you're using our plugin, right? Because we have a theme and we have a plugin. Things like, I think it was you that had the question about mailing lists or newsletters or mass emails. So yeah, you would want to use a plugin or an integration to connect to a SaaS platform that would have some automations attached to LifterLMS, or you would want to have a CRM tool in your website that would do those types of things. But realistically, you don't need anything. You can run a full-fledged e-learning business with LifterLMS and really just enjoy it and build it out and have a good time. What do we got here? Thays says apparently he's a fan of SendGrid. No, it's a she. I said he. See, I don't know these names. I don't know where this person is from. Have you ever seen the name Thays?
No, I haven't.
That's a new one for me. All right, so she says SendGrid, and she's giving us a clap, so that's good. Yeah, Retha says ConvertKit is enough. Yeah, we've got a ConvertKit integration. So you would get LifterLMS, put in our theme if that's what you've chosen with the SkyPilot, and then use the Kit integration. That would be perfect. All right. And then Alicia says we have social learning. However, it opens to all students who have access to it from what we see. That is the cohort example that Emily was speaking about. So if you want a cohort to align with a group that only has access to their group in a discussion about a course, you need to clone that course, assign it to that group, and then that group would be the only one that had access to that course, because the social learning opens up a discussion for each course. Boy, I sure hope I said that right. So yeah, I want to make sure you understand. LifterLMS has a tool called Cohorts, and Cohorts is like a built-in wizard to help you with cloning a course. So you can clone a course standard in LifterLMS. That's not a problem. You could clone a course, you could rename it, assign that course to a group, and then with your social learning, that group is going to be the ones that have access to that specific course and those specific discussions. And you could use cohorts to automate some of that process if that's what you wanted to do. Does that make sense? Did I say that right, Emily?
Yeah, totally.
All right. I've had a really active brain the last few days. That's why I'm absolutely running everything past you first.
No, I feel that. That's
all right.
Something that can happen to you if you're working in WordPress, and especially if you've manually configuring CRMs.
I got more than knee deep in a SCORM project this week, and I'm probably going to hit you up after hours for a difficulty I'm having.
Yeah.
Steve Horn, friend of the show, also a member that comes to the office hours calls, so we'll probably see him in an hour anyway, but says, I'm still in the formative years. LifterLMS connects to MailChimp, but my email service is a new service at Tarvent. I have no idea. LifterLMS recommends WP Fusion, but that's beyond my formative years and budget, so I wonder what the advantages of using such a service actually are as compared to a default LifterLMS email notifications. This is a great question, Steve. I think this will be great for a lot of people that watch now or watch the replay. Engagements and notifications in LifterLMS would be considered more like transactional messaging, transactional emails. So I forgot my password. Here's how you reset your password. I earned a certificate. Here's your certificate. You finished a course. You finished a course, right? So think of engagements and notifications like that. And then when you get into MailChimp, ConvertKit, Fluent, Groundhog, ActiveCampaign, all these tools, those are to send marketing messages. Marketing messages are things beyond transactional. So that would be like, here are links to the last 3 posts that we post this week. Here is, here's a sales message. Here's a newsletter. Those types of things would be things that you would need a mail service to take care of for you. And so it is very, very possible, very, very possible, especially if you're on a budget, to say, export my LifterLMS user list, right? So you can export your users and you can import it to your CRM and you could send out that week's newsletter. You could absolutely do that without an integration, right? But if you are integrated with these platforms, then they sync your users, right? And you can sync users by lists. And in a lot of automation cases, what a lot of people like to do is build a lead magnet for, say, a mini course or a free course. And so that would go something like, here's a web page, a splash picture of the course, a blurb about the benefits of the course or the pain point that it fixes. And it says, if you're interested in a preview, fill out this form. The person fills out that form. An automation with a CRM tool like this would be like, anyone that fills in this form gets added to this mail list. As they get added to this mail list, it creates a tag, and anyone that gets this tag gets automatically enrolled into this sample mini course. And that is all automations that happen with like a WP Fusion, or like if you had Fluent CRM in the back of your website, that automatically integrates with LifterLMS and does those types of things. So someone fills out a form, they get added to a list. When they get added to a list, they get access to some kind of content. Maybe that piece of content is a member restricted page within the website that they automatically get redirected to. There's all kinds of things that you can set up with an automation and an integration like that. And that value of WP Fusion is driving people to assets that would create revenue within your project. And so, yeah, that there is a premium on that, but the idea is always to be growing a business or building revenue out of those expenses. So I think that's important to kind of clarify. All right. We got another one. Adam Silver, SendGrid for the win. Apparently I said the right words today. All right. And clarification from Alicia. It says, we use cohorts for all of our CEs. So as I assume that's continuing education credits, right? The social learning won't add correctly, and it's been a support ticket for months, and they have said they cannot figure out why it is, I assume why it's not working, and suggested you came here to ask. Okay. I guess the main thing is making sure that people are getting added to the right courses, to the right groups, and to the right discussion formats.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. I could demo that.
Well, we've got 4.5 minutes left. So you have enough time to demo that? Yeah, this has flown. And I want to give a formal apology to people that put in a question ahead of time that we didn't get to, because we really have run out. But we've covered a lot of the topics. Like one said, I've been using the free version for years, and one of the big issues, unlike other LMS plugins, LifterLMS doesn't have a solution for sharing revenue. Well, yeah, we integrate with affiliate programs, and that's available right through recommended resources on the LifterLMS page, right? There's a couple of things that were in there, right? Jane, I love Jane. Jane Saggers, that's a name that you would recognize. She sent us a long one, so I might hit her up with a direct email to answer her question, because she's sent me a paragraph and a half. And then we've got people that want to submit stuff like via assignments or quizzes, And yeah, that would be, I would recommend people look at advanced quizzes for that. So I think we're kind of narrowing down on the pre-sent questions, and let's see if we can do something here.
Yeah, no, totally. So for how I would do a cohort in social learning, let me make sure I have both of these active. If I go to community timeline,
Alicia thinks you're rad, Emily.
I'm rad. Thank you.
Takes me back to my SoCal days.
Totally. But yeah, so here's my timelines feature. So I've got all my courses here. If I were to create a cohort, and I can't explain how this would not be working on your end, but I could just give it a try on my end. And new course name. Let's just leave all this stuff blank for the cohort. If you want to fill out enrollment dates, time periods, and things like that, you can. I don't want to restrict the visibility of my old course, so I'm just going to save and continue. And take me to my cohort. I'm just going to exit the setup. Let's get myself enrolled in my cohort. So I am logged in as Arthur.
Hi, Arthur.
The UI loaded after. Gotta reload. I opened the dialog to type the email, and then the page continued to load this content, pushing it further down, and then I couldn't scroll down anymore. Let's see if Arthur's at the top. Okay. Arthur is in the course. So now my timeline page, I should have it. There's Emily's new course on my timeline. And so I can go from there. So that's how it should work. It should be really seamless to integrate cohorts with social learning. Social learning won't add correctly, and it's been a support ticket. So how social learning is not adding correctly, I'm not really sure. Usually when you create a cohort, enroll someone into that cohort, it just starts up like it did on my screen. But if it's different on your end, I'm not sure what could be going on there exactly.
Yeah, because each course creates its own discussion channel.
Yeah, its own discussion channel. And so
I think sometimes people start a cohort and they rename a course, and then from muscle memory or from maybe not publishing the course on their catalog page, they end up referring users to the wrong course. So if you have a base course that's part of your course catalog, and then you create a cohort that's hidden in the catalog, when you send a client in or send a customer to the website and they go to the course catalog, they don't see their course there. They have to get to it through their timeline or through their dashboard. And I think that can cause confusion sometimes. So maybe that's a weird scenario, or maybe you're linking people through in an email, like an orientation email, and saying, oh, click this course, but they're really assigned to a custom course in the back end that people aren't seeing. I don't know. I'm trying to think of all different kinds of scenarios where if the site was working correctly, but not doing what you thought it should, what would cause that? But I'm kind of coming up vacant. And Alicia does say, Lifter's rad and you're amazing. But I wish we had she says, yeah, that doesn't show up. So I think the best thing to do, Alicia, just being honest here, especially if you're working with support, take a screen share video of your process. I'm creating a cohort. I'm adding someone to that cohort. Sign in as that person, even if it's yourself, and see if it gets added to your timeline. And if that's not happening, you'd have a video recording of that, and you would submit that with your support ticket and your system report, and they would be able to access that for you. So, folks, that was great, actually, to end our session today. People that have support, they have access to support. When they submit a support ticket, they put in a system report. That system report tells our developers, our support team, hey, what's in this website? What makes this website magic, right? And then if you have screenshots or screen video that you can attach, that gives us a visual idea of what you're experiencing, what's happening, and helps us to fix your issues more quickly. So look at that. Alicia, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And it's a pleasure to work with people that are gracious. So I'm sorry you've had the issue, but I'm sure that it can get remedied, because we can create what should happen, over and over and over again. Of course, the obstacle in working with WordPress and so many different hosts and providers and networks and vendors is that maybe there's a conflict somewhere, and we just need to kind of help identify where that conflict might be. If you were to turn off most of your plugins and try that in a staging site to see if it would work, you would maybe be able to identify which plugin might be causing a conflict. Maybe you have something like that. I was working in a client's website, and I know we're in overtime right now, but this is a decent story to share. They had Divi, and they were having all kinds of problems with some custom stuff on their website, and certain things in Lifter weren't working. And I was getting a little frustrated. I'm not going to lie, right? I think of myself as being a better problem solver than this. But when I went into their website, I created a staging site of it, so I knew I wouldn't damage things for active users to see. And I started playing. I found in the customizer in the back end where Divi would be a bunch of custom code, a bunch of custom CSS that was made for an old LearnPress installation. And so some of that custom CSS LearnPress stuff had some of the same titles and column names and data names that LifterLMS would use. And so there were some conflicts. I deleted all that stuff out of there. And then I was able to kind of troubleshoot and find out what was interfering with our LifterLMS functionality. But sometimes we got to play detective, and we got to figure out, okay, we see an example of how it's supposed to work. It's not working on my website. So what's in my website that could interfere with that? And sometimes it could be Elementor, it could be Bricks, could be Divi, could be some custom snippet you put in. But if you have a staging site, you can make those changes, and you can play with things and risk breaking things and go, okay, I found it. And then you can fix it and then make that effective change on your production site. So boom, that's genius. And with that, we are going to end our session today. Do you have anything you want to say before I click the magic button?
No, I'm good.
Okay, now I got to find the magic button. Hang on. Banners, brand. It's not scrolling like it's, because I'm stuck in brand settings. I was playing with brand settings earlier. There's all kinds of stuff we can do now. See you next week.